Okay, I'm going to go ahead and get this private lobby started. I'm going to go into a free fly. If you guys are ready, I will go ahead and send you out invites and we'll get started.
All right.
All right, well, sorry, I'm looking for Zero here first. All right, Zero, your invite is out.
Got it.
And KoBaa, your invite is out.
Got it.
Okay, so a couple questions for you guys first before we start. KoBaa, feel free to start with these questions here, and then Zero answer after him. So 1st off, what do you guys wanted to kind of get out of this training session? What's your overall goal with trying to improve?
My biggest thing is I like PvP bounty hunting, and I want to be able to beat players when I go against them. I've been trying to learn dogfighting and getting better, but a lot of time I struggle to understand how people teach it because I think a lot of people are very smart, very intelligent, and they've done it for so long, but they don't know how to explain it to someone that don't know the things that they know, if that makes any sense at all.
Okay, yeah, fully get you on that one. All right, Zero.
So pretty much in the PU, I have some good times dogfighting. And then when I go into Arena Commander, it's like you flip a switch and it's super hard to beat like 80% of the Arena Commander guys. So um, I feel like I've plateaued and I want to see what I can do to start beating the guys in Arena Commander. And yeah.
Okay. All right, so in your own words, what will you describe your guys' current kind of skill level, KoBaa?
I feel like I'm very like a beginner. I get the basics down, but like he said, I can win most fights in the PU. But when I go into Arena Command, I just get dusted. So I would say beginner. I know I get the basics, but I would say beginner.
Okay, cool. And Zero?
Yeah, beginner.
Okay, cool. Alrighty, so how this is going to work, I'm going to go ahead and start us and get the session ready. If you guys have made sure, go ahead and make sure you got Gladiuses rented. If you don't have enough rec, there is the arrow that you can use for free. To verify, you should have your CF class repeaters as your weapons. You should have Palisades as your shield, a JS300 as your power plant, and then your choice of flavor of stealth coolers if you want. It doesn't have to be stealth coolers. You can technically with any. It's just that stealth is better because it starts off with 1 pip, so you don't have to worry about scrolling over, removing some of the power, putting in something else, and having to fudge with that every time you respawn. If you guys are good to go, we'll go ahead and ready up, and then we'll launch the private session.
Give me a couple of seconds.
Okay.
And you said it was a Palisade as the. Gotcha.
Yep. Palisade for your shield.
And did you recommend the JS 500 for the power plant?
Yeah, JS300 for the power plant is what it should be. 500 is the Thighs 3 version, so you shouldn't be able to
Gotcha.
stick that in a fighter. Like I said, if you guys have any questions you might need along the way as I talk, feel free to interrupt me. Not going to hurt my feelings. You're more than welcome to say, hey, wait, can you go on over and explain that stuff? I'm going at your guys' pace, so like I said, if you need me to slow down, not a problem. I can do that.
You ever run into the bug where you're trying to select the cooler and it's just not letting you apply the cooler?
Okay, so to fix that, so the problem is whenever you rent something, you actually have to back out of the vehicle loadout editor, then go back in. It's goofy as hell, but it's how it works, unfortunately.
Gotcha, gotcha, gotcha. Okay, I'm ready when you guys are.
Okay. 1 second here. I'm just going to make sure I post these up in Dogfight Club so people can join it if they want to. Alrighty. I'm going to go ahead and launch it. Okay. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to start off with a quick 1v1 with each of you, just to kind of get where your sets are at. And then what I will do is after that duel, I will go through and run an actual serious set of duels with you. I'll run 3 of each, and then I will be recording the process. If you wish to record, you are more than welcome to, and I encourage you to, because then I can go back and watch your footage and point out your inputs. If you have any type of input tracking, that would be great. If not, no big deal. We can catch that for next time if we ever get a chance. But the biggest thing that if you can record your footage, I would appreciate it, and then you can send it to me and I can kind of dissect and say, oh, hey, based off this perspective, this is what you should have done. Kind of see also what's going on. I'll also kind of go through and explain some stuff like how to kind of improve your aim if I kind of see that your aim is really struggling, all that kind of stuff. So we'll go over the whole 9 yards, and I'll really dissect everything and try and be as constructive as possible. So I'm going to go ahead and start with KoBaa.
All right.
Let's go ahead and do a quick duel. If you guys, are you guys familiar with the kind of typical process for a duel, how it works in Free Fly?
Yes.
Okay, cool.
Pass each other, flare, and then fights on.
Yep, fights on. Alrighty, show me what you got, KoBaa. Alrighty. Good line, good line. Okay, not bad, KoBaa. I'm actually glad to see it. I would say, yeah, you're definitely truly in the beginner stage. But what I would say is that what's nice is I can see you've got good facial control. You're not trying to pull your nose off me and randomly try and play evasive. You understand that you kind of keep your nose on your opponent, so you at least understand the basics for sure. So that's great. So we'll go ahead and Zero, I'll do a duel with you, and then I'll go through and we'll actually do the dissecting duel. So let's get this started. Okay, so Zero, I definitely say same thing for you, definitely the beginner stage. You've got pretty good solid aim. I can kind of see that you got the basis for it. The one thing I'm kind of seeing though is you're lacking a little bit of distance control.
Yeah.
So, all right, I'm gonna go ahead and pull up a fresh ship here, and I'm gonna do 3 duels, like I said, with each of you guys. We'll alternate back and forth here, so that way I don't have one of you guys just sitting there doing nothing. Or alternatively, if you want, I can do all 3 in one go, and then one person can watch if they want to stream their screen. If not, that's fine. Up to you guys. How would you like to do it?
Probably just do all 3 at once.
Okay. we can do that. What do you say, KoBaa?
I'm good for that. That works for me. And I wouldn't
Okay.
mind streaming my screen if you want to watch too.
Okay, sounds good. Go ahead and stream
Yeah.
your screen and we'll get started. Let me know when you're good.
Let me know if you guys are able to see it.
Yep, I
Yep.
can see it.
I'm able to see
Okay.
it. All right, cool. All right, and I'm going to go ahead and start recording for mine. All right, KoBaa, let's go ahead and start. Oh, did you lose me?
Oh, yeah, I did.
All right, let's
Try
run
it
that
one more
back.
time.
Yep, let's try that one more time.
Count that as the pass. Okay.
Yep, we'll count that. Alrighty. That's one down. Let's get the next one going. Alright, there you are, KoBaa. Okay. Let's go ahead and zero right the next pass and go. I see you like to start early in the curve. I like guys that do that kind of shit. That's great. There we go. Got some good shits on. There we go. All right, good start. All right, let's get this third and final one going, and then it'll be your turn, Zero. Zero, make sure you wiggle around here just in case so you don't get AFK timered, FYI.
Oh.
Watch out for the station.
Oh,
No problem. We'll redo that. We'll rerun that. No worries. That won't count.
No worries. No worries. I'll move away from the station this time.
SPK getting the good old maneuver kill. All right, here. That's kind of my fault. Here, I'll pull away from that a little bit more.
All right.
I say that, and then there's landing pads, so let's make sure we don't crash the landing pads. Alrighty. Good fights, KoBaa.
Thanks, sir.
Okay, Zero, you're up.
Right. Let's start recording.
And KoBaa, if you did record those, feel free to send them to me over Discord if you can. If they're too large, then no worries, understandable.
Yeah, I could upload them to YouTube and then send you the link if that's cool.
Yeah, that works too. We could also do that as well.
Give me 1 second.
No
I
worries.
don't know what happened, but my right joystick just stopped working.
Oh, okay.
There we go. Okay, it was free look, I think. Wait, no, wait. All right, I'm good.
All right.
Yep.
Pass and go. Okay, you like to start a little bit further out this year, I can tell.
Shields under fire. Friendly target. Friendly target. Friendly target. Friendly target. Friendly target. Friendly target. Friendly target.
All right, there's one down. Well, let's strafe the loft a little bit so we don't do a repeat of that. Alrighty.
Friendly target. Shields under fire. Friendly target.
Pull up a little bit closer. There we go.
Friendly target. Proximity alert zone. Friendly target. Friendly target.
Ooh, nice. Good shots. Good shots.
Friendly target. Friendly target. Friendly target. Friendly target.
Nice. Good shit. All right, let's get this last fight in, and then we'll go over the footage. Just strafe off the side here.
Friendly target. Shields under fire. Friendly target. 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 Friendly target.
Alrighty. Good fights, guys.
Shields offline.
Alright, so I'm now going to go ahead and stream my screen. Hopefully it will not... Hopefully I'll still be able to stream over to Twitch and everything, but we'll see. And then for my stream here, I'll just switch out the feed to move over to desktop. So we'll see how this works on live. All right. Can you guys see my screen?
Yep.
All right. If the session times out, don't worry about it. No big deal. I'm gonna go ahead and start. We'll watch out these videos. I think this was my test video. I think yeah, that was. There we go. Okay. You guys see my feed just fine?
Yeah.
Yep.
Okay, so here's KoBaa. Here's the first one we did. Let me slow that down just a smidge more here. So KoBaa, I can tell that you like to kind of start up more up close on a fight. Actually, before I kind of go into this, what's your control scheme? Are you keyboard and mouse, dual sticks?
Dual sticks and foot pedals, and foot pedals is forward and reverse.
Your foot pedals is forward and reversed. Okay, so I'm assuming, do you have twist on your right axis or your left stick? Sorry.
I put it on my left stick.
Okay, and then would I be right to assume your right stick is pitch yaw?
Yes, correct.
Okay, and then so if your foot pedals are forward and back, I'm assuming your left stick is up, down, left, right.
My left stick is left and right, and then up thrust is forward and down is back.
Okay, gotcha. Okay, cool. All right, so I think you lost me here on the curve here. Or no, I think you were good. Can't quite remember here. I know one of the ones you kind of peeled your nose off a little bit. Yeah, I think this was a. All right, here we go. Here's the proper pass and go, I believe. Okay, so at the start here, your pip was pretty close because you're kind of killing out your energy here at the start here, but that's okay. I like this. I'm seeing good curves. You're automatically going for a slight corkscrew at the start. That's great. This is good pip movement shifting that I see you're doing over here. That's great. That's the kind of stuff that I'd like to see. So if you guys have seen my content before, I just realized my overlay is still showing up. Let me get rid of that so that way you can see it more properly. If you guys have been able to see the content I posted up on the Dogfight Club Discord, right? Like the biggest thing I say is I really hammer to people is the corkscrew. Like that's the biggest thing that you're always going to be using at that mid-range. So it's good to see automatically right off the bat that I see you applying slight rolls and you're applying a bit of strafe here. The weak spot that I'm seeing with you specifically, KoBaa, is your aim. I am noticing that you're having a bit of a hard time getting your crosshair on me. When you do, you can kind of glue it for a bit, but then you lose it. If you did record those fights, I would love to kind of see what's going on from your perspective so I kind of digest what's going on. But as I finish up these video reviews, I'll give you some advice on kind of how to deal with improving your aim a little bit over time. So going back to the fight here, while you do have good pip movement here at the mid range, I notice when I get up close, you kind of get stuck in what you're in your movement here. Like your pip's not really moving much. It's not extending out. It's not closing in. You're kind of just focusing on a lot of your curve. What I'm guessing here is you're probably focusing a lot of effort on trying to get your crosshair back on me and not your strafing movement, which we really got to work on that for sure. Right back here, you go right back into corkscrewing. This is great. This is what I love to see. I sing that pip move. That's the most important thing when it comes to dogfighting right now in this current flight model in a duel, is making sure you're not keeping that pip stationary, especially at the mid-range. So I can definitely tell at the mid-range, you've definitely got a lot more time on that. You're understanding stuff. See right there, great pip movement overall in general. You're still keeping your nose orientation on me. You're not letting it slip off from me. You're still really always keeping it in front of you, which is awesome. That's why I say is even though you're a beginner, you're already leagues ahead most people, and I can see why you're clobbering people in the PU, because you at least understand this stuff and keeping orientation on. The one thing that is going on here is I see that up close, you're really struggling to understand where you need to be at with your role, which that's perfectly understandable, especially if you've done mostly PU fighting and not a lot of arena commander stuff. We can work with that stuff, and I'll kind of address and explain why you should be using your role more appropriately. But again, still great face-to-face orientation that entire time. That's really good to see. All right, going into the next fight. All right, so same thing. This is the first time you start off the fight pretty up close, which is cool. I'm still seeing that good pip movement. You're shifting your pip a little bit left and right here, there. Applying. So here's one thing right here. Actually, that's one thing I wanted to kind of catch on. You applied roll pretty aggressively here, but as you see, at first you're kind of like just rolling, but then your pip's not going anywhere. There's one thing that I hammered my guys, and they'll absolutely cringe when I say it because of how many times I say it, but roll should always serve a purpose. You should never be rolling just to roll. When you use strafe and roll, that's going to apply that gradual shift to do the corkscrew, right? If you just sit there and roll and you have no other inputs, your pip is going to keep staying where it's at, and the only thing you're going to do is mess up your own aim because you're constantly rolling and shifting and moving your crosshair off the center. So when you are trying to kind of shift your momentum here, making sure you're always applying it. Don't just do a roll by itself. It should always be done with some kind of lateral strafe or be trying to mirror your opponent's movement. Here you got kind of flat. I didn't see a whole lot of movement. There wasn't a lot of adjusting. So if I wanted to, I could have really hammered on you on that point and really beamed into it, but that wouldn't have helped taught you anything. So biggest thing is even when you're up close with your opponent, you should not let yourself just be stationed. Don't let your inertia just take you somewhere. Kind of always keep moving yourself, especially trying to translate with where your opponent's moving here. If you'll notice, I always try to keep your pip kind of in like this V shape, right? I always try to make sure that your pip is orientating in this direction from you, right? So if you're here, the pip should always be in this range of from you entirely. And the biggest reason why I'm doing that is it's always keeping your inertia in a direction I can take advantage of. And what I mean by that is, do you guys familiar with your rotational rates, right? Do you understand like what I mean by that? Like what your superior rotation rate is?
I kind of understand, but not 100%.
Okay, so do you understand pitch yaw, correct? Because I think we already talked about it. Okay, so if you look at your ship metrics, right, especially for a lot of the typical winged fighters like the Saber, the Gladius, the Hornet, right, all of them are going to typically prefer pitch, meaning your up and down strafe or your up and down rotational rate. So by keeping your pip in this direction, if you ever get close to me, it always makes sure that you are passing by my better rotational force. If I let you slide off into my sides, you're doing this with a strategy that's typically called attacking the wing or attacking the yaw. And that's a weaker, slower rotation. So which means if you fly past me, if I use pure yaw, it's going to take longer for me to roll myself around to get to you and then get back to face orientation. So when I'm rolling, I'm just trying to make sure, like here, your pip went way up to the right. I'm going to try and keep it so it's always kind of preferably in my pitch zone. You flipped it the other way. I'm going to match it and go back the other way and keep going on to that. And I want to always make sure I'm doing that to you. Sometimes I'll do that stuff just to try and do a roll here because you're far away. I don't have to worry about it. You've got a low delta. You guys familiar with what a delta is?
Yeah.
Okay. KoBaa, do you know what a delta is?
No, if you can explain it. I know
Okay.
it's kind of like the merging speed, but I'm not 100% sure.
Okay, so basically your delta is this little number right here in the brackets, right? So here's your distance from me, and then here's basically how much what the speed it is relative to me, right? So right now you're making 5 meters per second of movement towards me. And so when I say low delta, what I mean is basically this is a low number. You're basically not moving towards me, or alternatively, you have a negative delta, you're moving away from me, or a positive delta, meaning you're moving in towards me, right? So you've got a low delta. I know that basically this 650 meters I got you at, you're staying around that distance, right? So I don't have to worry about you pushing into me. So you're getting a little more positive delta. You're starting to get closer here. I want to keep you oriented to, like I said, towards my preferred pitch rotation. Here you are at negative delta again, positive delta. So I kind of see you're kind of keeping this distance from me here. I'm applying a little bit of forward strafe into you, so I'm kind of closing the gap here. And like I said, I'm not seeing a whole lot of movement here. Here's a little bit of roll that you're applying with not enough strafe. And then boom, because you're going so flat here, I was able to land a couple shots in there. Do you have any questions before I kind of continue?
Yeah, mainly when you say match your roll, that's one big thing that's always confusing to me. So if you could explain that a little bit more.
Okay, cool, no problem. So I'm going to go ahead and pull up some handy dandy diagrams here. So let's say that right now this is your opponent's ship that I'm watching, right? And let's say, whoops, that's not what I wanted. I wanted this. There we go. So let's just pretend this is the pip. I know that's pretty huge and everything, but let's just pretend it's the pip, right? So if you roll this way, and your pip is this way, right? Your momentum is moving in closer towards my yaw versus the pitch, right? So eventually you'll kind of slide this way over here, right? And so what I don't want, like I said, is I don't want you going past my side on this, on this direction, because that's my weaker rotation, right? If you are familiar with SP Viewer, by the way, you can look up these stats on this website if you've never seen it before. So if I go ahead and pull up a Gladius, oh, I gotta update mine. Dang it. Okay, 1 second. Sorry. So I pull up the Gladius, right? So I know my pitch here is 68 degrees per second versus my yaw, so that's slower, right? So I don't want you going into my yaw, because if you keep going this direction and you fly past me, right, my weaker rotational rate is going to be used to try and catch you, and I don't want that. So I am myself, from my perspective, do I have a picture of a fighter that's looking from the back? Yeah, here we go, I do. So if I'm like this, right, and I see you're doing this, I'm going to roll to match, because now I'm back to this. And I'm always keeping my pitch. So I'll always be looking like, think of it like I always want to say yes. If I'm saying yes, it means that cool. I'm in the proper direction that I have my orientation on. If I'm saying no, that's a bad thing. I don't want to be turning to my no sides. Does that make sense?
Yes, it does.
Okay. All right, pulling back the video here. That was your second fight, I think, right? This was the one I think that you crashed, right?
I think so.
Yeah, it was. Okay, there we go. We'll skip that one.
And then one more question for you.
Yeah, sure.
What can I do better to not fly flat? Because that's something I get a lot. What can I do better to not fly flat?
That is going to be a muscle memory that you're just going to have to kind of force yourself to go in. One of the exercises that I recommend to try and get your brain to do this is, say, go on like Broken Moon or one of the maps with an asteroid and free fly. You can do it either in offline mode. It doesn't matter. And I just want you to orbit it. And the entire time, I want you to consciously think to strafe and move different directions. Just basically, I want you to move every single limb. I want you to be using your pitch, your yaw, your strafe left, up, right, down, forward, back, right? I want you to just sit there and just do that constantly and just remind yourself you have 4 limbs. You should be using all 4 of them, especially for you with you running HOSAS and running foot pedals, right? And just get your brain to kind of realize I have multiple strafes. I got to be using them all at the same time. I should not just be doing one or the other.
Gotcha.
Once you kind of get yourself a little bit, kind of broken up and understand that stuff, then basically you can start going into Vandal Swarm, for example, and just kind of always be using, like I said, always be using that corkscrew even against the NPCs, because it'll fuck them up as well. And then once you kind of aware of yourself, you're always doing it stuff, then you can move that towards players if need be. But the biggest thing is just kind of get yourself to not be so stiff. A lot of people are really stiff at first, and they don't understand that they have to be kind of moving themselves around.
Gotcha.
All right. Am I good for this, or do you have any more questions?
No, I'm good on that one.
Okay, cool. All right. Let me get past this pass and go here. Let's just skip ahead of this. All right, up close turn again. There we go. There's that nice corkscrew here. And so this is great, because this stage of the fight is what I like to call the hummingbird phase, when it's over 700 or so meters. And the reason why I call it the hummingbird phase is because at this distance, right, if you think about it right now, so our projectiles, right, we're running CF repeaters. And if you don't know why they're meta, the biggest reason that they're meta is because they've got pretty decent damage, but their high velocity means that you have a pretty high chance of scoring and landing shots because they travel so much faster. They travel at about 1,800 meters per second. So with you being at about 800 meters out here, any type of movement for the most part, it doesn't even have to be a corkscrew. As long as you're moving that pip constantly changing your vector, more than likely my shots will miss, because it takes so long. It takes half a second for my projectiles to actually sit there and land and hit you. And so at that distance, like I said, because of that half a second travel time, the most basic maneuvers will throw you off. So you can sit there and fly like a hummingbird, left, right, up, down, forward, back, whatever you want to do, right? And that will typically cause shots to miss. So a lot of times when duels sit at this range, right, especially if you're going up against, like, say, an arrow or something that's more agile than you, they're going to want to sit at this range and kind of poke at you and try and land those shots because you're the bigger target, preferably. And so in this situation right here, so that's why I say is like, I could take these shots at you all day. If you throw in basic maneuvers, you're not going to really get much shots to land. So here we are I'm going to go ahead and start pushing into a little bit here. And so now we're getting into what I like to call the aim duel phase. And what I mean by aim dueling is at this point is 90% of the fight's going to be dictated by who's got the better aim. And so the reason why that is because now that we're sub 700 meters, getting close to the 600, right? Now the projectile travel speed is low enough to where realistically, even your best evasive maneuvers are not going to stop shots from landing effectively. So even at this distance, right, if I wanted to, like, so if we pull, let me see if I take any shots at you. Like, yeah, so like we're so close up at this point that, yeah, all the shots are just going to land. They're so quick. We're talking like less than probably a third of a second of travel time, which unless you're sitting there and really, really aggressively pulling off, these shots are going to land. So it'll, like I said, it'll come down and dictate to who's got the better aim between these fights. So now that we're up close right here, like we're sub 150, this is typically what I like to call the knife fight range, or alternatively, depending on the situation here, which we're going more into what's called a rate fight. A knife fight's basically purely up close. It means that strafe rates are so fast, and at this range, you're so up close that they can actually overcome rotation rates. So I may not always be able to keep nose authority on you. So like right now, boom, you flew right past me, right? So in that situation, right, that's what I'm saying is like you're strafing so fast, you're moving so fast, you can quickly get off my face orientation. So this could have become a, what I was saying earlier, rate fight, right, where basically kind of turn into an orbit. It's going to be pretty uncommon for you guys at your skill level to kind of see rate fights all too often, so don't worry about it too much. But just understand if you ever get into the orbit fight, you can very easily escape it by just doing down strafe and forward, and it'll kind of widen out the circle far enough to kind of devolve it into back into an aim fight. So just kind of remember that aspect. But anyway, go back into the fight here. So this was said we're back in the aim duel phase here. So like I said, as you can see, most of the shots that I'm going to shoot here, they're not going to really miss because we're so close. And this was saying I could kind of see you're kind of struggling to get your shots to land here. You're getting really close here. You're basically getting, there you go. You're starting to get kind of glued on me. You got a couple good passes on me in a couple of these fights here. You kept your nose orientation on. That's great. There we go. So you've got a couple shots to land there. That was great. You kind of, I definitely saw over here you over-aimed. You definitely over-aimed. I saw that you kind of pulled off a little bit. You broke your nose off from me, and that's kind of what broke off your aim here. So we'll have to work on your aim control here. Oh, there we go. So here, this is the worst spot that you'll ever want to have someone in. I'm in, but like I said earlier, right? As I was saying, you don't ever want to have someone in your yaw. You don't want to have someone in your no-no square, right? So this is why, because now I've got my pitch aligned to you, which is the better rotation versus your weaker rotation. So if I want to, and if I can stay here and keep your nose off me by doing so more easily. And see how long it took you to you had to roll to correct your nose here, and then you eventually brought your pitch back on. But that entire time, if I wanted to, I got to really laid into you. This is why I say is like you always want to try and keep your opponent's pip up and towards your pitch section. And I'm going to keep kind of going here. I kind of was trying to highlight this for the video for backplaying. So I keep going for your yaw every single time. And you did pretty good here to roll to correct, to put me back on pitch. That's great. So you kind of understand that natively how to do that stuff. But this is why I say is like... Go ahead. Sorry.
I really can I ask you one question? When me and you are facing each other, and should I be trying to be inverted to you, or do I need to be on the same, not inverted with you, if that makes any sense? Does it matter in this type of fight right now that we're doing?
So yes, it does. It definitely, there's a couple things that dictate, and I don't want to overwhelm you because it's going into more into knife fighting concepts, which, like I said, right now you guys are too new to probably be focusing on those kind of concepts. The best way I can describe it is that you always want to be pitch aligned, but you want to try and slide into your opponent's yaw, if that makes sense.
Okay.
I'll need to grab some clips at some point to kind of highlight and explain this stuff because it's easier to show it than it is to explain it. But like I said, like here I'm pitch aligned and you're yaw aligned. And that's why I say is like, this is great for me, bad for you. You basically want to always try and be in this position. And sometimes it'll be when you're sitting there like, right, so you don't have to be in this direction, right? You don't have to invert yourself or make yourself opposite, right? You can be parallel. So like in these, where did my diagram go? There we go. This is, like I said, you can sit there and if you want to equal your opponent and be nose to nose like this, you totally can. The biggest thing that's important is always keeping this pip the direction you want. Okay. So if it's over here, make sure you line yourself that way. And then you can also down strafe and slowly push to get on this guy's wing. And that's great for you. Alternatively, if they're being really bad about it, right? So say for example they're pitch aligned here, but you're really up close and you've still got your pitch aligned, you can actually go underneath them and go for their belly. The belly's also a pretty good spot to be at, but usually it's still pitch aligned, right? So if they try and catch you, they possibly can. The biggest advantage of being pitch aligned or going for someone's belly, right, is that if they have head tracking, right, they're looking at their dashboard. They're not going to be really looking at you per se. They have to look through their ship to figure out what you're doing or what's going on, which gives you a chance to kind of put yourself at an angle that's more favorable for you. But like I said, that's going more into knife fighting. That's not too much of a subject I want to go into much just yet. Do you have any other questions before I continue?
No, I don't.
Okay. Okay. I think that was. Okay, that was the last fight with you. Okay, cool. All right, so Zero, it's your turn here. You ready?
Yep.
Sorry about that. All right. Okay, let's see here. So I've noticed with you, Zero, you like to start more extended out here because most of the fights that went through, I don't think they ever started less than a kilometer out. Less than a kilometer out. So out of curiosity, what's your control scheme here before we start?
Both sticks and pedals.
Sticks and pedals. Okay, got it. So
Yep.
you are
My pedals are actually car pedals, though they're not bike pedals. But
okay. So how is what's your strafes set to? How are they bound up?
strafes on the left stick is left strafe, right strafe, up and down, and I have roll, pitch, and yaw on the right stick.
Okay.
Pedals the throttle.
So my first suggestion. Now, granted, I'm not a HOSAS user. I don't run sticks, but this is the one thing that every pilot that's good that I've known that runs HOSAS, they all say, do not align your roll on your same stick that you use pitch and yaw because it will screw up your aim, even just barely slightly.
Yeah.
So my suggestion
Yeah.
would be either put that on your left-hand twist, or what is your foot pedal? So I'm assuming that's forward and back?
Yeah.
Okay, so yeah, either set it up on your foot pedals if you prefer that, or set it on your left stick instead. So that way you're not sitting there every single time you want to roll, you're not potentially messing up your aim by doing so.
Yeah.
All right. So actually, one thing I will say is, whoops, I don't want that. All right. So when we start these duels, is there any reason why you like to start them out so far? I'm just trying. Don't worry, it's not saying you're doing anything wrong. I'm just curious as to why you like to start fired out.
I don't know. I don't really have a preference why. I just figured it was like the fair thing to like give each other some space or something. I
Okay.
have no idea if it's allowed to start earlier or not.
No, you're
Just
perfectly fine
kinda
too.
Yeah.
It's not uncommon for either of you guys for how you both start out. The biggest thing, obviously, is don't be cheeky about it and pre-nose your opponent and start shooting at them as they're passing. Right? You're both doing completely fair
Yeah.
starts. I was just curious because some people say like, oh hey, I prefer to start farther out because I'm better further away. Other people say, oh, I like to start early because I like to just get right into the fight and immediately get up close if I can. So that's the only reason why I asked. I was just curious if you had a flight preference.
Okay.
So at this distance, that was a pretty flat pip here, but then you start applying a little bit of movement here. What I like to see actually for both of you, one thing that I saw is I did not see a whole lot of shooting too far out beyond a click, which is great. If you are starting out with some of these ranges, right, you should always be holding on to your shots as long as possible up until you're in effective range, because you don't want to sit there just blow your whole capacitor load at like a click and a half out, have no charge, then your opponent pulls up on you and then you've got no capacitor to kind of shoot back at them. So that's great to see that Zero, that you're holding on to your shots up until you're like that sub 700. So that's good to see. The one thing I will say though is there's a lot of flat pip movement. Your pip is just really not moving much. It's also not really, I'm not seeing a lot of zoning control. It's pretty consistently around the same amount of distance at any given time. It does not shift a whole lot. If it does,
Okay.
it transitions pretty slowly. So we'll need to kind of work on that. You are keeping yourself pitch aligned, which is good to see. I'm kind of seeing that you're doing that here. It's good to see that you're at least incorporating different strafe movements here. I was trying to actually get a cheeky little pre-nose on there on you, and I kind of failed on that pretty horribly. But yeah, so like what I say, the biggest thing here is I'm seeing a really stationary pip. And so the thing is what I will say is this flight model is like 70% aim, 30% maneuvering, right? So what I mean by that is you should never be strafing enough to the point where you're compromising yourself. If you're strafing left, right, up, down, or you're moving all over the place to the point where it's causing you to miss shots, you're strafing too much. You're definitely moving too much. So that's why I say the corkscrew maneuver is great, because if you do it gradually, oh my god, I'm sorry, I forgot your name already.
KoBaa? Or Zero?
Yeah, KoBaa. Sorry. Yeah, it's like how KoBaa was moving, right? Like he had that gradual shift in his pip by rolling and moving, right? That's what you want to really see, is you want to see that kind of movement, because it's gradual enough to where it's still going to cause most shots to kind of miss at range. But it's also not going to fuck up your aim by kind of moving yourself all over the place. So it's good to see. So that's the biggest thing I would say. You did a little bit right there, like I kind of saw it, but you applied a little too aggressive of a strafe and not, too much roll and not enough strafe input on that point. And that kind of just moved your pip one direction or the other. The one thing I will say though, Zero, is you do have pretty good aim. You actually got a lot more shots to land on me. I would say is that you've definitely kind of gotten that stick aim down, which is pretty good to see. That's actually one of the most difficult skills to develop for stick users, is getting solid aim. You're pretty gradual in that control, and I kind of see that when I do throw you off, you very quickly get your nose back on point. I could definitely see you're kind of the same situation with KoBaa here. You're kind of not quite sure what to do up close, which that's to be expected. That's perfectly fine, especially in this flight model. This flight model does not encourage a lot of good close face-up time, so most people that are new here, they're going to have a hard time understanding what they should be doing. Like I was saying too about KoBaa, right? Like your face orientation, you kind of always kept trying to make sure that your face was on me. So that's good to see. Is you've definitely got enough experience from the PU. Again, I could see why you two are saying that you can clobber most people in the PU. It makes perfect sense. All right. We'll get into the second fight here. Do you have any questions here before I keep going?
No. Well, actually, okay. Since we're talking about the flat pip, so you're saying, as I'm, getting on target, what am I supposed to do? Just strafe side to side? Would that get the pip moving?
No, that's a tactic that's called kind of pip wiggling, which is not necessarily it will kind of move your pip. Let me go ahead and pull up my game real quick, and I'll go into offline mode. Don't worry about it. I'm just gonna show you real quick.
Yep.
So let's go ahead and pull up Jericho, because I like Jericho. All right, so the kind of movement I want to see here. So let's see here. Let me go ahead and pull my TVI here, so you can kind of can you see my TVI on my screen right here? This little thing right here. Okay.
Yep.
So when you're pip wiggling, this is what's going on. This is what you're kind of seeing here.
Yep.
Right? So it's evasive here, but the thing is if one thing you'll kind of notice is by doing so, if I just aim in the middle, I'm going to hit that regardless. So you don't really want to just do this. This isn't going to really do anything or accomplish much for you.
Okay.
So what you want to do is you want to do a corkscrew, like I was saying earlier. So let me go ahead and get myself completely neutral here. And so to do a corkscrew here,
If I ask you a question, is there any way you could put your overlay back up? Is there any chance? I just
yeah.
want to kind of see your movement.
It's not going to be it's not going to show up on my stream, but it will show up on my it won't show up on my Discord stream, but it'll show up on YouTube if you want to check it on there.
Okay, gotcha.
But essentially, how it works, right? So I'm going forward, and then I'm going to offset it a little bit, and then I want to match that with roll. Oops, fuck. Got my own self mixed up there for a second. So now with this TVI here, what's going on is I'm constantly shifting. Even though it's in the same position and relative to my screen, it's going to look like a corkscrew maneuver to you on the outside. And that's what I'm saying is like this gradual kind of movement, that's what's going to do a lot. And like, as you can see, it's not really throwing off my aim too hard. I can kind of pretty quickly, like, so for example, if I want to aim at the star, right? I can aim at the star pretty easily while doing this. It's not really messing me that up, right? So if you're doing pip wiggling though, like I said, if I'm doing this, like this is going to kind of fuck up my aim a little bit if I'm trying to chase someone's pip, right? Because every single time you move, the pip is going to move to relation to you, right? The pip is kind of a shared experience between you and your opponent. So if you're wiggling like this, right, the pip is also going to wiggle because now it's trying to compensate for your shots. Make sense?
Yep.
Okay. Let's go back in here. Any other questions?
Nope.
All right. I think you lost me here for a split second here. There we go. Actually, out of curiosity, do either of you guys have head tracking?
Yes, I do.
Oh, you both have head tracking. Okay, cool. What are you guys running for head tracking?
Track IR.
Track IR.
Same.
Okay. Oh, okay.
Fine.
All right. Okay, you guys went for nice, accurate stuff. Okay, cool. I was just more so curious than anything else.
I have a hard time making myself like look up and use it. Do I get kind of hyper focused, like straightforward?
No, that's entirely fair. It happens. I was actually looking over there trying to look for the landing pad so I didn't crash into those potentially. So Zero, here's what I mean especially. Like this is what I was really talking about, like why it's important to kind of move around here. So here, you're going to be at, I think I start shooting at you around 900. Let's see. Yeah, so at about 1,000, almost 1,100, right? See, I'm getting shots to land at that distance because you're not applying any type of gradual movement. Like you're rolling. I see you're rolling here, but see how that pip is just not moving anywhere?
Yeah.
So even though that's well outside of typical engagement distance, that's why I'm getting shots to land against you. Oh, hold on, I'm recording my input capture again on my stream. Sorry about that. But that's the reason why I say like definitely apply that kind of movement there. Like I kind of see right here, you started doing a little bit of corkscrew just by looking at your tails, your trails right there.
Yep.
Which that's great. That's what you want to do here. And as you kind of saw, it kind of moved your pip around quite a bit. Oh, sorry, my freaking AVI players just absolutely screw me over. VLC screw me up over this. But then yeah, like see here you go. You got your nose back on me, and then the pip just kind of stopped moving. Here I kind of see you're starting to apply a gradual corkscrew here a little bit, but it's so minor and like you're kind of extending out the pip so far. It's really not doing a whole lot. I'm still getting shots that kind of easily land even at a click and a half out, or sorry, click and 200 meters out. So like this is what I kind of say is like always should be moving, especially these ranges, especially if you want to play at the hummingbird phase. Because if you're not, then I'll just kind of keep taking shots at you. And the other thing too I'm seeing is you're moving, like you'll adjust, and then you focus on aim. And then you'll get flat because you're focusing on aim and not on movement. And then it's a pattern that I'm seeing that's kind of going on here. So like if I wanted to, right, the problem why this is such a huge issue is if I recognize you're doing this is I'll just basically mirror your pattern, but I'll just invert it. I'll just focus on aiming when you're trying to move, and then I'll just focus on dodging when you try to aim. And then that way I'll always get my shots to score when you can't.
Yeah, I definitely do that. It's funny that you picked that up.
The other thing too that I'm kind of seeing is you lack quite a bit of inertia control. So what I mean by this is you're constantly either pushing towards me or you're pulling away from me. You're not quite keeping it neutral. If you saw with my fights with KoBaa, right? KoBaa and I kind of stayed mostly at the same distances, and then we only gradually, slowly closed that gap or slowly pushed that out. Now, granted, it's up to you in preference. Some people prefer to close the gap and just get right up into someone's face if they preferably can. Other people would sit there and say, oh, no, I'd rather kind of keep my distance, keep zone control. Right now, you're kind of punished for pushing on someone. So kind of being more offensive is actually a bit of a disadvantageous kind of position to be in. So when you're pushing like this, right? So the biggest thing is I'm seeing you're up close. You're only 400 meters away. You got a high delta. You're 218 meters per second forward, which means you're going to very quickly, like in 2 seconds, you're going to fly past me, right? So this is what I'm saying is you're kind of lacking that distance control. Because basically what I'm saying is you're constantly kind of flying past me or flying around me, right? You're not really controlling your inertia. You're not arresting yourself. And so the problem is that your pip is just so stationary because of that. You're not keeping your speeds low by doing so. And when you have a high speed, the problem is that means you have to invest energy to slow yourself back down. And so what happens is by having all this energy invested in a direction and having to slow down and put energy towards it, your pip just kind of floats there. It just sits there. It doesn't really move that much. If it does move, it's so small and gradual that it's still easy for me to keep my crosshair on there, and I can keep landing shots if I want to. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
So what you'll want to do, and this is going back to the corkscrew is great because it constantly arrests your speed. It constantly is forcing you to slow down. And one second, let's go back here real quick and I'll kind of show you what I mean. All right, so I'm going to go ahead and full bore forward, right? So I'm at my maximum speed, right? So I'm at 225 meters per second here. So I'm going to turn off to the side. So now I'm going 225 to the side, right? I'm at my maximum speed. I cannot strafe this direction any faster, right? So my pip is going to be stationary just by being here, right? So what
Yep.
I'm going to do here is I'm going to go ahead and apply some upstrafe and roll. And it's immediately going to start bleeding off my speed. And what you'll notice here is it keeps cutting down my momentum. Eventually it slows me down, right? So if you can kind of see my speed indicator, right? I speed up a little bit, but then I start slowing down. And so I'm constantly killing off my speed because I'm strafing in a way that eventually counters my inertia. And that's what a corkscrew does, is it also does that. It makes it harder for your pip to hit because it's curving off to the side. It's slowing you down so you can invest your energy in a new direction. And it's not keeping your pip modulated the same distance all the time. If you want, I do have a video on YouTube under my channel, which you're more than welcome to go ahead and check out here anytime if you want to. I cover this specifically on the corkscrew video here on potential energy. These are the two videos that I cover up. I recommend giving those a watch if you get the chance, because they go into detail as explaining why this stuff works. But anyway, let's go ahead and get back to the fight here. So yeah, as you can kind of see here, like that's why I'm saying is like, you see how your pip is just kind of always staying at the same distance here? That lack of inertia control and kind of keeping it contained, this is why it's so flat and why it's so stationary. This is why it's so easy for me to hit you a lot of times. This is up close stuff. Don't worry about this stuff. I don't want to focus too much on knife fighting. We can save that for another session here. It's too much. I want you to guys kind of focus more at the mid-range and the aim dueling kind of situation, because that's where 90% of your fights are going to typically be at. It's pretty rare for this to get up close and to really matter too much. Like I said, with this fight model being very aim-centric, a lot of people prefer to keep you at distance, just because, like I said, pushing up on someone is not very rewarded.
Okay.
So this movement here, here I kind of saw like that was a good, nice gradual pip shift that you saw there. You kind of going right to the little bit, then you're going to left. That's actually another form of pip movement that you can do besides corkscrewing. It's a technique called pip deflection. I actually also, not to shill my YouTube channel too much here, but I've also got a video on it too under pip deflection right here. You can kind of check out too. Pip deflection is a good technique because what you do is you neutralize and then it re-extend it out, and that basically makes it where by neutralizing it, you basically just choose a new vector to go into, and that just makes it harder for you to hit. Here I kind of see that you're applying roll again. The roll is just by itself. There's not much strafe here, so you're kind of just compromising your own aim by doing so. Just to kind of harp on, I've already gone over the subject. Here's where you start actually doing a bit of a corkscrew. That was actually good to see as you start kind of slowly doing it here a little bit. But I can tell that you're trying to kind of shift your momentum in another direction so that way I'm not easy to hit. So it's good to see that you're also aware of it. A lot of people, especially when they're brand new, that I have to harp over and teach, they don't understand that, like, hey, you got to kind of keep moving your pip. So you are understanding at times that when I'm shooting at you, like, okay, fuck, I got to move myself a different direction because this guy's hitting me, so I got to move it somewhere else. So that's good to see. And then there we go. Towards the end here, you started doing a couple more corkscrews. That's good to see. So you kind of got that down. And then here's where your momentum kind of didn't get arrested. It kind of, you got to extend it out. The pip got super flat. And then I think the fight ends here in a couple seconds. Let's see here. Yeah, I think that was mostly the points I wanted to kind of harp on for your fights there. Okay. So with that said and done, what questions do you guys have for me? Is there any questions you might have you want to ask me or anything like that?
I have one, but I don't know if it's a too complicated of answer. So when I start to orbit, I can only really focus on orbiting, and I can't really tell. How can I say this? I can't tell when I need to, like, I can't tell when I stop orbiting sometime. Like, I'll start good orbiting people, and then the more they start moving and I try to follow their pip, I just lose control, and I can't tell if I'm still orbiting anymore.
So when you say orbiting, what are you referring to exactly? I just want to make sure I understand your terms.
So basically, I'm trying to just be moving around you. I'm trying not to just be flying straight towards you. I'm trying to constantly be just kind of orbiting around you. Like if there was a rock there, I'm going in a circle around the rock.
Okay, gotcha. So, oh no, okay. So I just want to make sure you meant the actual traditional sense of an orbit fight. So orbit fights, the biggest thing is like depending on the distance that they come down to, There's not much you can do besides just sit there and kind of apply a gradual corkscrew, especially at closer ranges, right? So if you're more than 700 meters out, like you don't have to try and orbit them. You can just sit there and, like I said, go into hummingbird phase and kind of poke in and out and just slowly try and whittle them away at range if you want to. And then if they start pushing towards you, then you can start kind of exploiting them by taking advantage of their higher energy. If it's the biggest thing I'd say is if you are strafing to a degree where it's screwing up your aim, like I said, you're strafing too much. The biggest thing I would say is if you're still at that point where you're struggling to keep someone on your pip, you probably need to go in and focus on a little bit of aim training on your pitch and yaw on your stick to get that control a little bit better. One of the ways I would say that would really help is if you actually do Vandal Swarm. And if you can maintain your crosshair on a target on Vandal Swarm 90% of the time, you've probably got enough control where you can start really honing it in a bit more on players. Does that make sense?
That makes sense.
Yeah. Aim control is just, it's especially with sticks, right? Because I'm Hosam, right? So my right hand stick, I don't have a right hand stick. I run mouse on mine. So that's why a huge reason why I have such extremely strong aim on this game right now is because of the fact that I'm not even using a joystick. For those of you guys that do run joysticks, I'm not saying it's impossible to get good aim. I know some dudes that are Hosas users and they have better freaking aim than I do on a mouse. It is possible to get that good. Just understand is that curve to get that good is going to be a lot harder because you do have to kind of sit there and master your inputs. If you ever want to kind of sit there and understand like what to do, I really recommend just sitting there and asking someone that runs HostSAS and say, hey, what should I do to set my tunings on there? Like, what should I set for my dead zones? You should really try and calibrate your stick to feel comfortable for you and what makes the most sense for you. Any other? Oh, sorry, go ahead.
You're running a left stick, you said?
Yep, I run a left stick. So to kind of explain my inputs, I get made fun of for this a lot. So Dreezy's going to make fun of me here if he's on the stream. My foot pedals are up and down. My left stick is forward, back, left, right, and then my twist is roll. So I know a lot of people like hate that stuff, but that's how I have mine set up.
I have a question about like on your input display.
Okay.
I just wanted to know what I mean. I should it should make sense, but if you can bring it up again, it's not up right now on YouTube, but I wanted to see which one was up and down and left and right because I'm kind of confused on your
Okay. Yeah,
input
sure.
display.
Let's go ahead. Okay, so do you see it up right now on my stream?
Uh, no, it looks like you're at the home screen right now, or the menu, the main menu in Free Flight.
Okay, gotcha here.
But yeah, it's
Hold on.
not coming up on YouTube. I saw it earlier on YouTube, but I'm not seeing it now.
I just enabled it, so let's see how delayed my
Yeah,
stream
there it
is.
is.
Okay, cool. Okay, so the left box that you're seeing on this LR forward back right, that's what it is. So this is forward and back. This is left and right.
Do left and right again, please.
So forward, back, left, right.
Okay, so it's sometime it won't move, or maybe the YouTube bar isn't in left and right. Okay,
Yeah,
I got you.
I think it's delayed probably by like 10-15 seconds. That might be why. So my twist is roll, so that's the one that's labeled roll, and then the one that the bar that's up and down, that's my foot pedals right here, and then my trigger for boost. That's all it is.
Okay, got you.
All right. You guys have any other questions?
No.
Okay. So here's what we're gonna do. I've gone over everything for you guys. If you have any other questions, like I said, you're more than welcome to. I'm going to do one more duel with each of you guys. Now that I've kind of pointed out what it is, I'm not going to beam anything. I'm not going to treat it like a super serious duel here. I want you to kind of take everything that I've taught you and just apply it in a fight real quick here. And like I said, don't worry about stressing about trying to out aim or anything like that. I'm just going to keep doing the tap firing stuff. I'm not going to sit there and beat the crap out of you guys. That's not going to help you guys learn. Just want to go through and just take my in mind of what I've said, like applying that roll, applying that strafe, constantly moving yourself, right? That's what I want you to kind of focus on.
Okay.
All right. And, oh, sorry. Do not take that invite. I've messed up there. That's an online one. I wanted a private one. Sorry for that, KoBaa.
No worries.
All right. Go ahead and ready up and we'll get started. All right, there we go.
Aegis combat assist activated. System
All right, KoBaa, I'll start with you first.
Okay, because once I just want to make sure I record it for research purposes.
Hell yeah. And then I got your YouTube link as well, by the way. And Zero, like I said, you're more than welcome to send those clips to me if you'd like.
Yeah, I'll DM you and figure out how to get them to you.
I'm gonna move away from the station so we don't have a repeat.
Hell yeah, sounds good. You ready?
Yes. Sir.
All right.
friendly target. Shields under fire.
Nice. All right, keep that range control. Solid, solid. Nice. There we go. I've already seen a little bit of improvement in your aim. Remember, 30% strafe,
Friendly target.
70% aim. Keep that nice and steady there. Apply a little bit more roll. Get a little bit more strafe. There we go. There we go. There we go. Nice. Good pit movement. Good pit movement. Keep re-inverting if you need to. There we go. Nice.
Friendly target.
All right. Sweet. You're getting a lot more shots to land than last time. That's great. Fantastic.
Friendly target.
All right. Keep in mind that distance control here.
Friendly target. Friendly target.
All right. I'm going to start pushing up on you. Start getting aggressive.
Friendly target. Friendly target.
There we go. You're going for your wing. There you go. Good correction. Good correction. Good correction. There we go.
Friendly target.
Nice. There we go. There we go. There we go. Yeah, don't let my pip go. Ooh, nice, nice, nice. Look at that. Ah, there we go, KoBaa. Good shit, dude. That's way better than before.
I know you let me get that one, but you know the one correction you said I made? I did it by instinct, but I wish I knew what I was supposed to do there, but I kind of just went off feeling.
That was that was really the huge improvement compared to the last couple of fights. At the start there, I kind of see you're kind of struggling to get your aim back on there, but once you got that dialed in there, you kind of correcting a little bit more there. Like you got your hit time went from like maybe about 5 to 10% to immediately jumped up to like what I saw, like at least 30, 40, 50%. Like a couple times you got some really clean lines on me. That was a seriously good improvement. So good shit, dude. All right, Zero, your turn. Let's see what you got for me. Oh, did you get kicked out?
No, I'm here. I'm 7K out.
Okay, there we go. Now you're showing. Okay, cool, cool. There we go. Wasn't showing you on the scoreboard. Alrighty. Remember, clean up that roll a little bit there, Zero. There we go. That's looking nice. That's looking really good. See, look. I can't even hit you now. Can't even hit you at these distances. There we go.
Shields under fire.
Don't roll too much. Don't compromise your aim. It can be slow and gradual, right? Like we're in that distance now where it's not going to really matter too much. There we go. Nice, clean. That's good. You're compromising your aim a little bit, so slow down. You don't gotta be fast about it, right? It can be nice and slow and gradual. It doesn't have to be super sharp. As you refine that aim, right? The one thing you gotta remember is eventually you'll go up against opponents that it doesn't matter how much you move around, right? They're always gonna keep that beat on you. So try and go nice, slow, and steady. There we go. Nice, that's a good line. There we go. That's more like it. I kind of see your convergence looks like it might be messing up. That might be desync. I can't tell. Your convergence is messing with you really badly here. I gotta check that out for you real quick at some point. Are you using manual gimbals by any chance?
Yeah.
Okay. That might be what's messing you up there. I don't recommend running manual gimbals, especially on sticks. So that might be hurting your aim there.
I didn't know there was like another option.
You know what I mean by manual gimbals, right?
Like there's just I don't use auto gimbal. Like, is that what you're talking about?
No. Like, so hold on. Let's pause here real quick.
Yeah.
If you can watch my stream real quick. Do you have
Okay.
this on that's letting you aim independently from your ship's guns?
Oh no.
Okay, so it's fixed. Okay, that's what I want to make sure.
Yep.
I'm seeing something. I'll have to show it back to you in the stream. Let me show it to you real
Okay.
quick. I'm just seeing something weird. I don't know what's going on here, but it looks like it's something is screwing up your shots. See what's going on here?
Yep.
I'm trying to figure out like why, like for example, one of your guns will just randomly out of nowhere start shooting off way off to the side, out of nowhere.
Yeah. My pips are messed up. They don't look like yours. I thought it was just a bug with the Gladius.
Oh, okay.
It shows 2 pips for some reason. I have all badgers on there, so I don't know what's going on.
Okay, so hold on. Let's go ahead and real quick. So if you go to your MFD real quick, and then go to this setting here. Let's see real quick here. Go onto the gunnery tab here. Do you have
Gunnery
enable
tab.
individual pips on?
Let me check gunnery. No, it's off.
Okay, gotcha. All right. So the only thing it could be is if you go under options and game settings, I think there's an option over here that messes with this stuff. Make sure default weapons use individual pips. Make sure this is set to no as well.
Default weapons.
It's about a little over halfway scrolled down on the game settings menu.
Okay. Default weapons. Gimbal's locked. Default weapons.
Should be the second to last on the default weapons category.
Default weapons use individual pips. All right. Is that the one you were talking about?
Yeah, is that set to no?
Yeah.
Okay, so there's something else in. Let's go ahead and look around here. I know there's other settings that will kind of cause this bug. Out of curiosity, was this happening to you the first time we were doing duels?
Yeah, it's actually been even in free flight. I usually fly the arrow and it doesn't do it. So when I got in the Gladius today, I saw that and I was like, oh, I wonder if it's bugged. I just
That's
assumed because of
interesting.
the game's usually bugged, but
I know that so there's one of these settings that you can toggle on will cause it occasionally. I think maybe it's like vehicles targeting show reticle or something like one of the gunnery ones will do this occasionally. Let's go ahead and do this. Go ahead and go into your MFT again. Turn on the enable individual pips, and then turn it off again, and let's see if that gets rid of it.
okay.
Because I can definitely see that like the aim assist is actually compromising your ability to land shots, which should be the case. You should have been landing a lot more shots than that because of that bug.
I just got a spawn bug. Can't spawn in.
Oh, really? Okay, go ahead and back out to menu, and then right-click
Yep.
on my name and rejoin off me. If you want,
I'll
you can
probably-
pull your arrow. Oh, sorry. Go. What's up, KoBaa?
I would sometime when that start happens to me, I'll just relog, like exit out the complete game in the launcher. I don't know how we're doing on time, but I've had issues like that where the game just don't want to work for me.
Yeah, that's interesting because I've not seen it only exclusive to the Gladius. Usually when I've gotten that bug, it's been every ship I pull, so that's kind of interesting. If you want, we can switch over to arrows if it's still causing that bug for you.
Okay. All right, I might have to just get a little closer to see if it's still there.
Yeah,
Oh yeah,
yeah.
it's still there.
Okay,
It shows
gotcha.
2 different pips.
Okay, so let's
2
go ahead-
precision lines also, which is weird.
Okay, let's see. Let's try one other thing here.
I'll reset it in the gunnery and see what happens.
Yeah, give that a shot. We'll see what goes on.
Yeah, it's still there.
Really interesting. Okay.
Yeah, and
Okay.
as I get closer, the pips spread apart even further.
Yeah,
Like
it
when I
is a
get
bit of a
closer to them.
problem. Okay. So let's go ahead and go ahead and pull your arrow. Is your arrow equipped with everything it needs?
Yeah.
Okay, let's go ahead and pull an arrow instead, and we'll do that. We'll run that back.
Anvil Aerospace. All systems online.
There you are. All right, cool. Let's go ahead and get this started. Good pit movement. There we go.
Check fire. Shields hit.
Nice. That's really solid movement. Make sure you control your aim. Don't get too extreme with it.
Check fire. Check fire.
Nice. Good clean line. There we go.
Check fire.
Nice. There we go.
Check fire. Check fire. Shield down.
Make sure to vary your input a little bit, Zero. You're a little bit too predictable between your timings between them.
Check fire. Check fire. Check fire.
There we go. Yeah, I'm seeing a lot more shots land now. Ooh, nice and clean. That's good.
Check fire.
All right, gonna make this. Oh, no. Got me before I even could. Good shit, dude. That was much better. Yeah, I would definitely say that first fight, you're definitely absolutely getting screwed over by those mixed pips, because it was, some of your shots were just not even going towards me at all. They would vary off by like what felt like 15 degrees. So that was definitely a really weird bug. We'll have to figure that out for you and see why that's going on. But that's all
Yeah,
I really got for you guys for teaching. I don't like doing too much here. So before I end the stream real quick, do you guys have any questions that you might have before we go?
I don't really have too many questions, but I don't know if it's inappropriate, but I want to give you some like super positive feedback. I've worked with people in the past, and they go too fast and they're too aggressive. And I think one of the biggest skill gaps in this game is people are just way too good for new people starting out. And sometimes they say just seat time, just get take the beatings. And sometimes for most people, that's not a good way of learning. For a lot
Oh,
of people, it's just hard to learn like that.
I'm right there with you. I saw a lot of the content that was on YouTube, and a lot of people that were really good pilots, and I got nothing against them and stuff like that, but they kind of assume that you already know too much of the basics, and no one actually teaches the core basics. So that's kind of a huge reason why I went and did my channel and did all the content, and why I do stuff over for Dogfight Club. But yeah, so like, if you guys have anything that you feel is on the basic end for questions, if you don't, especially if you see something that you don't understand, by all means, please raise it up to me as a question. I'm more than happy to explain it. It does not bother me to spend the time doing this kind of stuff. I know that there is a severe lack of content and a lack of teaching this kind of stuff. So I'm more than happy to help with that stuff. And thank you for the feedback. I do appreciate it. What about you, Zero? Got any questions?
My question is about the delta. Do you actually keep your eye on that while keeping your eye on the pip, like mid-fight?
It is difficult, but I try to at least check up on it. The biggest thing that I look at is I try and I'll use just basically kind of an idea of where we're at and say, okay, hey, is the ship getting bigger or is it getting smaller? Does it look like it's getting closer or further away? And if I notice that basically there's a change in the size of your fighter, then I'll look really quickly at the delta to see, okay, what's going on? Like, how fast is this guy moving towards me, or how fast is he moving away towards me?
Okay.
It's not something that you're going to be able to always keep your eye orientation on, like flat out. Like I don't think even the best pilots are able to do that and still be on the pip as fast as that. So yeah, like I would say, don't try and concentrate on splitting your attention. Just try and pay attention to how big the ship is more than anything else.
Also, was my inertia control better that round
Yes,
than the
yes,
last?
absolutely. The thing is though is so like I said, it depends on people's flight styles. Some people
Yep.
prefer to have a lot heavier focus on zoning control. Other people, like for me, for example, I don't really like the hummingbird phase of dogfights. I don't like the aim dueling. I myself personally, I'm a knife fighter. I like getting up close to someone because there's more skill in it, there's more challenge in it. But the thing is it's not rewarding to do so. The reason why I say distance controlling matters because, say, for example, you run into a pilot that's like me, that's good in the knife fight, right? And I know, for example, okay, hey, this guy's really, really weak in the up close. I will exploit that on you because I'll sit there and watch and realize, oh, this guy doesn't like me up close. Okay, that tells me I need to be up close because he's not going to like that.
Yeah.
So that's just one dynamic of why eventually you'll want to focus on it. But with how easy it is to extend out, like I said, the only thing you really have to do is do a down straight forward, and then it forces out a widened elliptical shaped curve. And then you can very
Yep.
easily keep someone distanced out, and they can never knife fight you if they don't want to do that. So it's while it's a great tactic to learn at some point, it's way more. It's going to be way more beneficial for both of you guys to focus more on the mid range and the long range and understanding the dynamics of that before going into the knife fighting.
Damn, that hurts. That hurts. But no, I get exactly what you're saying. I like being up, even when I lose, being up close and dancing like that. It's just so much fun.
Well, the good news is the new flight model will be coming probably in like 9 months or however far off it is. It's going to reward a lot more personal ability to know how to do knife fighting. But like I said, with this current flight model, with what we have right now, it's going to be more beneficial for you guys, especially if you want to go into the PU and clobber people. It's better to master that mid and that mid and further range stuff. And then once you feel really competent in that, you're really strong in that area, you're able to kind of always keep that crosshair on the pip most of the time. Then it's time to go ahead and step up and start learning the close range stuff because then you can start picking it up and doing really well with it.
What's mid, like 5 to 800?
Mid, I would actually say is more closer to 250 to 700. That would
Oh, wow,
I would
okay.
consider mid. Because the thing is like even at like 250, 300, strafe rates usually aren't strong enough to really prevent someone from staying off of your crosshair, especially as long as you're using the preferred rotation. So like you're always matching to roll to pitch, all that kind of stuff. You'll kind of see what I mean as you do more stuff. Biggest thing is I still recommend for both of you guys, especially if you still want to learn, go into free fly and arena commander. I know what you guys are saying, like you'll go up there, you'll get absolutely clobbered by some people. If you sit there and just ask questions, most people will actually sit there and sit down and help answer your questions. Like I'm not like don't want to make it seem like I'm the only person that's nice enough to sit down and explain things. There are plenty of guys that'll do that. If you haven't hopped into the Soul Leveling Discord or in the Grimhex Discord, so those are also great places to ask, especially if you raise your hand and say, hey, like I'm new, can I get a little bit of help? Other people help you just like I have with you. All right. Do you guys have any other questions?
That's it for me.
Okay. I will give you guys some homework, unless you had any questions, real quick, Zero.
No, I think I asked all.
Okay, cool. So my homework for you guys would be the next things I want you to kind of go through there, if you have not already. Go back on my YouTube channel, and I want you to watch the 3 videos about pip neutralization, extension, and deflection. And I want you to go back to the training pipeline section. And I want you to read specifically about that stuff because that's going to be your bread and butter for learning stuff on that mid-range and that far range. Get that stuff really into your head. Like I know I said before to gloss over it, but for this next training session that you got here, whenever you want to go join in the next dogfighting session that we have for squadron battles on Saturday, or if you want to try and do some duels at some point outside of my streaming hours, really hammer down those 3 those 3 topics. With that down, I think you guys will probably go from what I would say a beginner level pilots to intermediates pretty quickly, just by going through and understanding and learning that stuff.
All right.
All right, sounds good.
All right, that's all I really got for you guys.
Thanks, dude.
Thank you.
All right.
Thanks again.
You guys have a good one.